Number 1. The land of contradictions. Israel, a tiny country on the edge of the Mediterranean, is often called the startup nation, yet it is also one of the oldest crossroads of human civilization. Covering just over 22,000 square kilometers, Israel is smaller than New Jersey in the United States, but it contains landscapes ranging from lush green hills in Galilee to the barren deserts of the Negev. Within a 2-hour drive, you can leave the snowy peak of Mount Hermon in the north and plunge into the scorching heat of the Dead Sea, the lowest point on Earth, at negative 430 meters below sea level. The climate itself feels like a contradiction. A Mediterranean north with olive groves, vineyards, and rainy winters, a semi-arid desert south with endless dunes and scorching summers. These extremes have shaped the resilience of its people, teaching them to grow crops in deserts, desalinate seawater, and build cities where most of the world thought only sand could exist. The population today exceeds 9.8 million, made up of Jews, Arabs, Druze, Bedouins, and dozens of smaller groups. Hebrew and Arabic are official languages, but in Tel Aviv you'll hear English, Russian, French, and Amharic echoing in coffee shops. Israel feels like a mini United Nations squeezed into one tight strip of land. And yet, for all its size, Israel holds some of the most sacred sites for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Jerusalem alone contains the Western Wall, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and the Dome of the Rock, monuments that have sparked wars and pilgrimages for centuries. But here's the shocking fact. Despite being called the Holy Land, Israel is also labeled by some as one of the most sinful countries. Why? Because where religion thrives, so do nightlife, beaches, underground raves, and a reputation for indulgence. How can one land be both so sacred and so scandalous? That's what we're about to uncover. Before we move on, tell me in the comments, do you think Israel deserves the title of sinful country, or is it misunderstood? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to James Baker, Discovery Global, so you never miss our wildest explorations. Number 2. A nation carved by history and conflict. Israel's story begins thousands of years ago, tied to biblical kingdoms and prophets, but its modern rebirth came in 1948. Since then, it has been in almost constant conflict with its neighbors. The Arab-Israeli Wars, the Six-Day War of 1967, and ongoing disputes over territory, like Gaza and the West Bank, dominate headlines even today. Yet what shocks outsiders is not just the intensity of these conflicts, but how everyday life continues despite them. Cafes in Tel Aviv are full even during rocket sirens. Beaches in Haifa are crowded, while news reports warn of clashes. Israel has perfected the art of living in normalcy amid chaos. Its people serve mandatory military service, 2 years for women, nearly 3 for men, making young Israelis some of the world's most disciplined and street-smart citizens. And it doesn't end after discharge. Most remain in reserve duty until their 40 seconds. Imagine having to put down your office laptop and pick up a rifle once a year. That's reality here. But history here is not only about war. Israel is also where archaeologists constantly dig up layers of civilizations. Canaanites, Romans, Byzantines, Crusaders, Ottomans. You can walk the streets of Jerusalem and literally touch stones placed there 2,000 years ago, then step into a McDonald's around the corner. What surprises many is the cultural mix born out of Jewish immigration from over 100 countries. Jews from Morocco brought couscous and mint tea. Russians brought borscht and vodka. Ethiopians brought spicy injera bread. All of these cultures merged into a new Israeli identity, one that is still struggling to balance East and West, ancient and modern, sacred and sinful. Number 3. The people and their unique identity. Israelis are often described as direct, bold, and surprisingly informal. In Hebrew, there's even a word, chutzpah, meaning audacity or shameless courage, and many say this trait defines Israeli society. You'll notice it in conversations. People speak loudly, argue passionately, and often interrupt. But what sounds rude to outsiders is simply normal here, a sign of honesty and energy. Women in Israel are among the most striking in the Middle East. Their beauty is a blend of genetics from across the Jewish diaspora. European Ashkenazi features like light eyes and high cheekbones, mixed with Sephardic and Mizrahi traits, olive skin, dark curls, and dramatic eyes. Add to that a confident, sun-kissed style from Tel Aviv's beaches, and you get a unique kind of glamour. Israeli men, meanwhile, are known for their military fitness, rugged beards, and no-nonsense style. But beyond appearances, family is everything. Israelis have one of the highest birth rates in the developed world, around 3 children per family on average, compared to about 1.5 inches Europe. It's not unusual to see huge family gatherings at restaurants, with grandparents, parents, and kids all at one long table. This family-centric culture blends with an almost reckless love of life. Ask an Israeli why they're always in a hurry, and they'll say, because tomorrow isn't promised. Strangely, this mix of deep tradition and youthful energy makes Israel a land of extremes. You can meet a rabbi who has never touched a smartphone and a teenage hacker coding the next billion-dollar startup, living in the same neighborhood. Where else on earth can you find such contradictions so close together? Number 4. Transport, technology, and the startup nation. How does such a tiny country compete with global giants? The answer is innovation. Israel spends over 5% of its GDP on research and development, one of the highest rates in the world. That's why it's called the startup nation. Did you know that apps like Waze, USB sticks, and even drip irrigation for farming were all invented here? But transportation tells a different story. Roads are often jammed, parking is a nightmare in Tel Aviv, and drivers are notorious for aggressive honking. Israel's train network is expanding, but it lags behind Europe in speed and coverage. Buses, however, are reliable, except during the Sabbath, when nearly all public transport shuts down from Friday sunset to Saturday evening. For a tourist, that can be shocking. One day the city is buzzing, the next it feels like a ghost town. The infrastructure might seem chaotic, yet it works. Highways connect north to south in just 6 hours. New light rail systems are being built in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. And despite being surrounded by desert, Israel is a pioneer in green energy and water recycling, reclaiming nearly 90% of its wastewater for agriculture, a world record. Technology and transport here aren't just about convenience, they're about survival. In a land with few natural resources and constant security threats, every innovation is born from necessity. Isn't it fascinating how hardship often creates the greatest breakthroughs? Number 5. Politics, religion, and endless debates. No discussion of Israel is complete without politics, but beware, it's like opening Pandora's box. The country has a parliamentary democracy, but elections often result in fragile coalitions. Governments can collapse in months, forcing new votes. Since 2019, Israel has held more elections than almost any other democracy. Religion adds another layer of complexity. About 20% of Israel's population is Arab, Muslim, or Christian, while the Jewish population itself is divided between secular, traditional, Orthodox, and ultra-Orthodox groups. Disagreements over issues like marriage laws, Sabbath closures, and military exemptions often spark fiery national debates. Here's one surprising fact. Despite being the Jewish state, Israel has no official constitution. Instead, it operates on a collection of basic laws. This means many social issues remain unresolved, from who can marry whom to whether public buses can run on Saturdays. Yet, for all the tension, Israel remains one of the Middle East's most stable democracies. Citizens protest loudly and often. In Tel Aviv, you can see thousands marching almost every weekend, but those protests themselves prove the system is alive. Imagine a country where almost every citizen feels entitled to shout their opinion in public. Chaotic? Yes, but also a sign of resilience. Number 6. Festivals, faith, and strange customs. Israel is a land where ancient rituals collide with modern life. Walk through Jerusalem during Passover, and you'll see families burning bread on street corners as part of a purification ritual. Visit Tel Aviv during Gay Pride Week, and you'll find one of the world's largest parades, with rainbow flags flying in the so-called Middle Eastern San Francisco. Some customs may surprise you. During Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year, the entire country stops, literally. Airports shut down, television goes silent, roads are empty, children ride bicycles freely on highways without a single car in sight. Where else in the world does a modern nation completely shut itself down for 24 hours? There are also stranger traditions, like the breaking of a glass at Jewish weddings, symbolizing both joy and sorrow, or the ultra-Orthodox ritual of Kaparo, where a live chicken is swung overhead before Yom Kippur as a symbolic transfer of sins. Meanwhile, Israel's Arab population celebrates Ramadan with night markets, lantern-lit streets, and feasts that contrast sharply with the austerity of Jewish fasts. It's a country where holidays constantly overlap, sometimes peacefully, sometimes tensely. For travelers, this collision of faiths is as fascinating as it is bewildering. Number 7. The food scene. Sacred and sinful on one plate. If you want to understand Israel, look at its food. Every meal is a battleground of cultures. Falafel, hummus, and shawarma are staples, but who invented them? Israelis and Arabs both claim ownership, leading to heated debates over something as simple as chickpeas. Breakfast here might be the famous Israeli salad, cucumbers, tomatoes, lemon, and olive oil, paired with shakshuka, eggs poached in spicy tomato sauce. Lunch could be Yemenite soup, Moroccan fish, or Eastern European schnitzel. Dinner might include sushi. Yes, Tel Aviv has more sushi restaurants per capita than New York. But here's the twist. While Israel follows Jewish kosher laws in many places, banning pork and shellfish, Tel Aviv is also famous for its bacon, cheeseburgers, and seafood platters. Religious rules clash with secular lifestyles daily, and food becomes the front line. Even dessert tell a story. Nafa, the sticky sweet pastry from Arab kitchens, sits beside rugelach, the chocolate-filled pastries of Eastern Europe. Add in strong Turkish coffee, mint tea, and Israeli wine from desert vineyards, and you realize this isn't just food, it's a history lesson you can eat. Number 8. Tourism in the holy and the profane. Israel attracts more than 4.5 million tourists annually, and they come for vastly different reasons. Pilgrims arrive to walk in the footsteps of Jesus in Nazareth, to pray at the Western Wall in Jerusalem, or to marvel at the Dome of the Rock. Others come not for holiness but for hedonism, to party at Tel Aviv's non-stop beach clubs, to float half-naked in the Dead Sea, or to rave in underground desert festivals until sunrise. Few countries can offer both extremes. You can spend the morning hiking Masada, an ancient fortress where Jewish rebels made their last stand against Rome, and by evening be dancing at a rooftop bar overlooking the Mediterranean. Israel's tourism slogan could easily be, "Come for the faith, stay for the fun." The country's landscapes themselves are attractions. The Golan Heights offer green vineyards and ski slopes in winter. The Red Sea resort of Eilat boasts coral reefs where dolphins swim beside divers. And then there's the surreal Dead Sea, so salty that even the worst swimmer floats effortlessly. Tourists rub its black mud on their skin, convinced it heals everything from acne to arthritis. Yet, tourism in Israel is never simple. Security checks are everywhere, even at shopping malls or bus stations. Tourists may find themselves questioned at the airport for hours. For some, it's intimidating. For others, it's oddly reassuring. In Israel, safety and spectacle go hand in hand. Number 9. The nightlife capital of the Middle East. When the sun sets, Tel Aviv transforms. Often called the city that never sleeps, it's been ranked among the top 10 party capitals of the world. From beachfront bars to hidden underground clubs, the energy feels limitless. DJs from Berlin and London regularly headline here, and electronic music festivals in the desert attract tens of thousands of revelers. One shocking fact: while Jerusalem observes strict Sabbath laws, Tel Aviv does the opposite. On Friday nights, while religious Jews pray and rest, the city's clubs are packed with dancers, bartenders, and international tourists. Some even say Tel Aviv is God's nightclub on earth. The LGBTQ+ scene here is legendary. Pride Week in Tel Aviv is the largest in Asia, drawing over 250,000 people from across the globe. Rainbow flags line the streets, drag shows fill theaters, and the beaches become open-air festivals. In a region often hostile to sexual freedom, Israel's nightlife stands out as radically inclusive. But nightlife isn't just about excess. Many bars double as cultural spaces, where live jazz, poetry readings, or political debates unfold over whiskey. Others showcase Middle Eastern fusion music that blends Arabic oud with electronic beats. The result? A nightlife that is sinful, yes, but also soulful. Number 10. Legends, mysticism, and strange beliefs. Beyond religion, Israel is a land of legends. In Safed, the mystical city of Kabbalah, locals believe that secret codes in Hebrew letters unlock the mysteries of the universe. Pilgrims flock here to seek blessings from rabbis who claim to channel divine energy. In Jerusalem, superstitions thrive. Touching the stones of the Western Wall is believed to bring good fortune, but never turn your back on it while walking away. It's considered disrespectful. In Christian tradition, walking the Via Dolorosa retraces the path of Jesus carrying the cross, and many pilgrims swear they feel an invisible weight on their shoulders as they march. Then there's the Dead Sea Scrolls, ancient manuscripts discovered in desert caves in 1947. Some scholars believe they hold hidden prophecies about the end of the world. Others say they reveal the secret lives of early Jewish sects. To this day, new fragments are still being studied, keeping mystery alive. And if you ask locals about the red string of Kabbalah, they'll tell you it protects against the evil eye. You'll see tourists wearing it like a fashion accessory, but in Israel it's tied during a sacred prayer at the tomb of Rachel, the biblical matriarch. Is it faith, folklore, or simply clever tourism? You decide. Number 11. Beauty, fashion, and everyday style. Israel is home to some of the world's most recognized supermodels, Bar Refaeli, Gal Gadot, and Esti Ginsburg, to name a few. Their fame has shaped global perceptions of Israeli beauty, confident, suntanned, and effortlessly glamorous. But real-life Israeli fashion is more eclectic. In Tel Aviv, people dress with a European casual flair, tank tops, jeans, flip-flops, even in upscale restaurants. Jerusalem is more conservative, with modest dresses, headscarves, and black suits among ultra-Orthodox Jews. Bedouin women in the Negev still wear flowing dresses embroidered with colorful patterns, while Druze women in Galilee wear white veils as a sign of purity. Plastic surgery is surprisingly common. Nose jobs and Botox treatments are popular, particularly among young adults seeking to balance tradition with modern standards of beauty. One survey even claimed Israel has one of the highest per capita rates of cosmetic surgery in the Middle East. But beauty here is not just external. Israelis radiate confidence, shaped by military service and a culture of resilience. The constant awareness of conflict creates a mindset of living fully in the present. Perhaps that's why many Israelis, men and women alike, project an aura of vitality that captivates visitors. Number 12. Cost of living. Heaven for tourists, hell for locals. For visitors, Israel feels expensive, and it is. Tel Aviv was ranked among the world's priciest cities, with coffee often costing $4, a simple sandwich $10, and rent for a one-bedroom apartment exceeding $1,500 a month. Gasoline prices soar above $2 per liter, and imported goods are heavily taxed. Yet for short-term travelers, the experience can still feel affordable when compared to European capitals. Street food like falafel or Sabich fried eggplant in pita costs only $5. Hostels and Airbnb rentals can cut costs dramatically. Public buses are cheap, and intercity trains are a bargain compared to taxis. The irony is that many Israelis struggle financially. Salaries lag behind Western Europe, while housing costs skyrocket. This tension fuels constant political protests, with younger generations demanding solutions. So while tourists marvel at Tel Aviv's glittering skyline, locals often wonder how long they can keep affording to live there. Number 13. Festivals of light, music, and madness. Israel's calendar is packed with festivals, both ancient and modern. Hanukkah, the festival of lights, fills winter nights with glowing menorahs in windows across the country. Purim, the Jewish carnival, turns cities into costume parades, with children dressed as superheroes and adults drinking until dawn. But Israel also has secular festivals that shock outsiders. The Midburn Festival, Israel's version of Burning Man, transforms the Negev desert into a surreal city of art installations, fire shows, and radical self-expression. It's the last place you'd expect in a country dominated by religion, yet it thrives. Music festivals like Inda Negev or Sacred Journey draw international crowds who camp under the stars, blending spirituality with electronic beats. During Sukkot, entire neighborhoods build huts of palm branches and bamboo to eat and sleep outdoors for a week, commemorating biblical wanderings. Few places on earth celebrate with such intensity, whether for God, art, or pure pleasure. In Israel, every week feels like a festival, and sometimes like a rebellion against history itself. Number 14. Travel tips for the curious and the brave. Traveling in Israel is both rewarding and challenging. Security is strict. Expect bag checks at malls, metal detectors at bus stations, and questioning at airports. Always keep your passport handy. Dress codes vary. In Tel Aviv, anything goes. Bikinis, shorts, tank tops. But in Jerusalem's religious quarters, modest clothing is essential. Women should cover shoulders and knees. Men should avoid sleeveless shirts. Transportation can surprise newcomers. Don't expect buses or trains on the Sabbath. From Friday evening to Saturday night, much of the country shuts down. Plan around it, or you'll be stranded. Food is safe, water is drinkable, but bargaining in markets is part of the culture. And be cautious about political conversations. While locals are open, topics like Palestine, Gaza, or religion can quickly turn heated. One last warning. Never photograph military sites or soldiers without permission. Israel's security culture is sensitive, and you don't want your camera confiscated. Number 15. Israel, sinful or sacred? So, is Israel the most sinful country in 2025? On one hand, it's the Holy Land, the birthplace of religions that shaped billions of lives. On the other, it's a playground of nightlife, hedonism, and fearless indulgence. It's a land of rabbis and ravers, prophets and partygoers, fasting and feasting. What makes Israel mind-blowing is not choosing between sacred and sinful, it's how both coexist in the same streets, sometimes even in the same people. A young Israeli might pray at the Western Wall in the morning, then dance all night in Tel Aviv. A devout Muslim may fast by day during Ramadan, then feast at night, markets buzzing with laughter. Israel forces us to ask, can a country be both holy and hedonistic? Can contradictions be its greatest strength? What do you think? Is Israel the most sinful country, or the most misunderstood? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to James Baker, Discovery Global. Hit the bell icon so you won't miss our next mind-blowing adventure across the globe.